Rich Johnston replied to me on a comment, and it got me thinking. I said, Eternity Girl, the Immortal Hulk, Man-Eaters. Not exactly horrible, but not award-deserving either. Rich Johnston, bleeding cool. Immortal Hulk is the best Marvel title since the Eisner-winning Vision. Bold statement, Rich Johnston. So I decided to take a look at the Immortal Hulk and Al Ewing. Al Ewing writes comics. I write comics. I block gators. Okay? Al Ewing? I do a lot of blocking on Twitter, including using blockchain. My gaff, my rules. I've been blocking comics gators for a while. As a movement, they're shitty to my readers, and they make the lives of creators, retailers, and friends worse. I don't want them in my audience. You don't want paying customers. How do paying customers hurt the retailers? I don't understand, Al Ewing. So much soy. Joe Glass chimes in. Thank you for commenting on it. Thank you for supporting those targeted, for speaking out against those who continue to try and make comics an unwelcoming place for so many. Joe Glass, comics are a business. You have a business relationship with customers. This isn't personal. Paul Cornell says, I do exactly the same. Well, good for you to virtue signal so hard. Paul Cornell, please notice the soylent smirk. I see that quite often. Writer of Doctor Who. Well, of course, that explains everything. Jordan JP says, you're a good one, Al. Matt Centauri says, thank you, Al. I really appreciate you saying something. JP, Jordan, comic writer, reader. Queer, opinions are my own. He, him, they, them. Well, which one is it? Pick a battle, JP Jordan. Matt Centauri, sorry, you already killed all the nice gays. Well, unless you live in the Middle East, I don't know what you're talking about. We're all that's left. Editor-in-Chief, Eisner-nominated Comicosity, cis, queer, Jew, he, him, they, them, hashtag resist. What are you resisting? The strong economy? You have an audience? No wonder Marvel comic sales are so low. Someone says, whether or not you agree with his politics, his work on the Immortal Hulk is extraordinary. Trust the tale, not the teller. Is his work on the Immortal Hulk extraordinary? Well, I'll take a look at it. Dennis says, you got yourself a new follow. I like seeing this kind of inclusiveness. I thought he was trolling. I thought he was being ironic, being inclusive by excluding. What does comic get? 100,000 people with 10,000 hardcore people who actually buy the product? Inclusive. Nope, I checked his Twitter. He's not joking. This is the cover for Immortal Hulk #1. It's a pretty solid cover. This is the cover for Super Harem, a comic book on Indiegogo and on IndieCron. This is what a comic book is supposed to look like. Well, this is a little exaggerated, but you get the idea. If you look at Al's Twitter, you might ask yourself, what kind of business blocks customers? A business that isn't interested in staying in business. I can't imagine talking to my potential customers like this. You know why I respect the customers? Because they have money. That's all I need to know. There is no ideological purity test. Selling comics is a business. You're in a business relationship with your customers. You are selling escapist entertainment. Keep reminding yourself that these are customers, not fans. Al Ewing doesn't understand this. He sells communist propaganda. Al sells racism and sexism. But he has the right politics, so he never gets called out on his racism. Well, hold on there, Bianca. Aren't you defaming Al? No, because the defense to defamation is the truth. Based on reading a dozen issues of The Immortal Hulk, a reasonable person would come to the conclusion that Al Ewing is racist and sexist. Why is it selling 40,000 copies a month? Because the art is really good. And to be honest, people are so used to racism and sexism that they accept it like sheep. Some themes I noticed in The Immortal Hulk. The light-skinned characters are ugly and stupid, usually incompetent. Christianity is bad, men are bad. People of the light are bad. WOCs are good. Men are drawn like Greek gods. Women are drawn like transsexual potatoes. For some reason, the artist makes the women as masculine as possible. Why? Because patriarchy or something. Isn't this a comic book? Shouldn't there be 100-pound women with D cups and thigh gaps? If you draw the men with unrealistic bodies, why not the women? Unless you're selling to a gay audience, drawing women who look like men doesn't make sense. Your audience is 99% straight and 95% male. It's a TNA crowd who want to see beautiful women. Women who look like supermodels, not substitute teachers. Don't let the soy boys and SJWs sex shame you into accepting these transsexual potato women. Sex is good. Sexy women are good. Don't cede ground to these childish weirdo cat people. Keep pointing out the hypocrisy in drawing unrealistic men and frumpy women. Where are the dad bods, the beer guts? If anything, the reader would care less about that. A straight male audience wants sexy women more than they want sexy men. But why not both? The artist goes out of his way to hide the main female character's body. Does she have breasts and a butt? We never find out. Meanwhile, the men are half naked. It doesn't make sense. If you want sexy women back in comics, you have to demand it. Tell Marvel how you feel. You can't tell Al Ewing how you feel because he'll block you. Don't let them shame you or control the narrative. Oh, you just want to look at sexy women. Yeah, and? You want to free the nipple and have half-naked slut walks. Well, I support the sluts. Let's get sluts back into comics. Hashtag sluts back into comics. Either that, or replace the fit men with obese men for inclusive body diversity. Keep repeating the mantra, sexy women are a good thing. Don't let the soy boys sell you androgynous-looking David Bowie female characters. Calling out racism and sexism in comics is uncomfortable. Talking about racism and sexism is awkward, but I think it's important for more people to stand up and call out Al Ewing, Marvel Comics, and mainstream comics. Marvel's racist comics are also boring. The storyline and characters are predictable. Who's the antagonist? The person of European descent. Preferably blonde-haired, blue-eyed German types. Who is portrayed as fumbling, ugly, incompetent? The lighter-skinned characters, especially males, especially Christians. No other religion will be mentioned in a negative light. Do rabbis and imams also abuse children? Yes, of course they do. Will mainstream comics mention it? Not in a million years. Muslims, Jews, Hindus, literally every other religion is untouchable, but it's open season on Christians. The author has racist, sick power fantasies, shown by his incandescent hatred of Europeans in general, and blonde-haired, blue-eyed men in specific. Who hurt you, Al? Why does Al Ewing virtue signal so hard? Because he is a far-left white male, a UK soy boy, the worst kind, the kind of person who puts milk in his tea. The only way Al can maintain his street cred is to say how much he hates himself, his sex, his race. Al Ewing isn't black or Muslim. He doesn't have any oppression points to protect him. He better check his privilege and stay in his lane. So why is Al so racist? Because he never thought anyone would have the audacity to dare stick up for the whites. Hashtag, I have a white friend. Immortal Hulk #1, first page. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, gun. Guy goes into the store. Evil white male gaze. A woman in a hijab on the cover of Vogue, because of course a woman's beauty magazine would have a woman who's almost completely covered. Of course. This is a little technical faux pas they made. If you look at the barrel and the cylinder, these holes are where the shells go. They must line up precisely with the barrel. They're not lined up. This is just bad art. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy kills 3 people because that happens. The main characters are a reporter and a police investigator who is drawn looking like this and looking like this. Are these females? Why don't you make them as attractive as possible? Anyway, the investigator says we have shell casings and we'll do what we can with those, blah, blah, blah. You have shell casings. How do you have shell casings from a revolver. The guy fires 3 times. In a revolver, the bullets stay, the fired shells stay in the revolver. On automatic, they eject. This is a writer who doesn't know, who obviously hates the Second Amendment. He's in the UK, so he doesn't know anything about anything. But that's just lazy writing. And then you have a white crystal meth biker gang. They're drawn as ugly as possible. You have the blonde-haired, blue-eye guy just crying and whimpering like a bitch. Everything is ugly and foul. It's kind of odd because blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy, the other guy's eye color changes from gray to hazel to lavender and finally back to blue again. Al Ewing really has a hard-on for blonde-haired, blue-eyed dudes. Anyway, everyone is ugly and filthy. Ugly, filthy, fumbling, incompetent, because of course the Hulk enacts some weird power revenge fantasy. And you say, well, why does the book sell so well? Because of art like this. This is pretty solid. Fearful, bad, white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy with a gun. We hate the blondes and the blue eyes, and we hate guns, of course. Al Ewing, power fantasy, power revenge fantasy, just looking as pathetic as possible. We see you, Al. The Hulk has this guy captured. He's unarmed, totally defenseless, captured, and Al Ewing has the Hulk enact some kind of weird fetish power revenge fantasy. So you clearly see the blonde, blue-eyed guy was tortured by the Hulk. These are the 2 main women in the book. Where are my breasts? I don't know. You have to ask the artist. What is this, Hillary Clinton? I think this could be Hillary Clinton. Does she have breasts? I don't know. I'm not a bad person, am I? Of course you're bad. You're a white male. Of course you're a bad person. This is what a comic book is supposed to look like. This is on Indiegogo and IndieCron. Anyway, let me know what you think.